You are listening to Be Amplified, the podcast with Brie and Thais, episode number 23. Hey Amplifiers, welcome to Be Amplified, the podcast. My name is Thais.
And I'm Brie Seeley. We are the co-founders of the Amplified Collective,
a movement aimed at radically disrupting how purpose-driven women connect and operate in the world.
Because we believe it's not just what you do, but who you are that matters.
Each week, join us for messages and interviews that will leave you feeling amplified and ready to change the world.
Let's do this. Good morning, Amplifiers.
Happy Monday.
Brie Seeley here.
And Thais.
And we have yet another amazing episode of Be Amplified, the podcast, just for you.
Just for you. We have a really amazing guest for you today. Mr. James Kinney is a worldwide...
Oh, it's a miracle moment.
My phone goes off every day to remind me that it is a miracle moment. It truly is a miracle moment. So James Kinney is just a worldwide phenomenon. He's an incredible person. He's going to be rapping for you today. So you gotta stay tuned for that. But first,
I tried to convince Thais that we should rap on the episode, but I am pretty sure that's probably not happening.
I'm pretty sure I don't even know how to rap.
I know, I wouldn't even know
where to begin.
Nope, nothing. That's why we have James on. He gets to gift you all with his amazing talent.
A good rap. Such a good rap.
It's good.
Wait for it.
Wait for it.
Yes. So we got a really good guest for you. But first, we want to talk about being a guru or not having gurus, or the difference between inspiration and idealization, because we see this as a thing that is happening with the women in the world, where we look to other people and idolize them and totally give away our power to somebody else. So let's break it down. Let's break this down, this conversation a little bit more, Brie.
So it's really important for me when I look at this stuff, or, people come to me all the time and they're like, I love your life. I want your life. And my response is like, thank you so much. Like, I'm grateful that you recognize all the good things that I'm doing with my life. And you don't want my life. You want your life. You want a life that is amazing, but you don't want my life. I think so many times we're unable to really sit with what it is we truly want. And we just start looking at other people being like, well, they're happy with what they have, so I'll just have what they have. Perfect example of this. This is so funny. My grandma and my grandpa, they've been married for, at least my mom's 60s. They've been married for over 60 years, like
Wow.
a long ass time,
Wow.
right? So it's hilarious because we always joke when we all go out for dinner, Grandpa always orders what Grandma's having. Even if he doesn't want what she's eating and he will say, no, I don't want the trout, and she orders the trout, he will always order what she orders.
Why?
There's a few reasons. Part of it might be that he's been developing Alzheimer's. That might be a really good thing, but also he just doesn't necessarily want to make a decision about what he wants to eat.
Mm.
And he knows she's going to be happy with it. So he might as well just have the same thing. And
Yeah.
I think that happens to so many of us. We see these amazing people out in the world doing amazing things and think, well, because that's making them happy, that will make me happy, which then means I need to want what they want because they're clearly doing it right.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes that's actually just the easy route, where it's easier for you to just want what somebody else is wanting and be in a space of want than to actually deal with your own shit and look at what in your life is making you unhappy and really take responsibility for it. Right? It's a lot easier to just look at somebody else and be like, oh, I'll have what she's having, without looking at what's on your own plate and deciding what that is and how you can make that be the best that you can be. That's why there are these quotes like the grass is greener on the other side, or the grass always looks greener, right? Because it does. And that's part of our the way our mind's programmed, of everyone else is living this best life and they are living the best life and I'm not, because look at my grass and it's all dirty and brown. And so instead of watering your own shit and taking care of your own stuff, you'd rather just sit and dream about other people's things. Because I bet you that if you start taking the actions required to get to what those other people have, you're going to be like, I don't want it. Because you want what they have without the work that was required for them to get what they have. And part of putting someone up on a pedestal and believing that they have what you want is that you think it looks a certain way to have what they have, right? You think that, oh, this person travels all the time and they're doing all these videos internationally and it must be so glamorous, but you don't actually realize what goes into it, and the sleepless nights and having to get up at 3 in the morning to make the flight so that they can do the video in that country. And you just don't know what their life is really like.
And no one really lets you in on everything. Like, yes, Tice and I try to be increasingly transparent about our lives and what's going on and the things that we face on a daily basis. But, a lot of these people that we look up to as gurus, we don't actually know what their life is like. We idolize them and we think that that's what we want. And, we look at all their quotes on the internet and how brilliant they are. And, everyone from, even all the way back to, Martin Luther King or Marilyn Monroe, or like all of these idols that have come out of our culture. And we don't really know. Look at Marilyn Monroe as a great example. How many people idolize her? She was amazing. She was great in her time. And she was so incredibly unhappy about being in love with a man that she could never be with that, she ended up overdosing on drugs. So we idolize these people because we think we know what their lives are like, and we have zero clue. And so the distinction that Tice and I really wanted to dive into today is, what does it look like to use someone who's brilliant and who's amazing and who's totally making an impact in the world as inspiration to then find your own path, versus idolizing them so much and wanting to be exactly like them and wanting to do everything they do, down to like, I've even heard of people naming their kids the same thing, or like having the same health regimen, or like all these bananas things. Like, if you eat the same shit as Tony Robbins every day, no offense, but you're not going to become Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
Like, that's just how it works. And so the energy difference between idolizing someone and using them as inspiration for your own journey.
One of the things that I loved about being a health coach 4 years ago, and that's my journey. That's where I started. I started as a health coach. I've quickly transitioned into, what I do now as a women's leadership coach. But what I loved about what I was learning about the health coaching industry and about food, is that everybody, unlike science of any other type of science where the result is consistent again and again and again,
like chemistry or
yes,
physics.
Yes. When it comes to the body, every body is so different that they cannot tell you the same thing, like two different people, what to eat. Oh my gosh, I need to like practice saying this better. But if you give the same diet to two people, it is not going to impact them the same way.
Take us, for example.
Brie has a very different diet than my own. Neither is better or worse. Hers is more regimented. Mine's more loose. I have a history of binge eating. She does not. So like, we come from very different backgrounds, different stories, different cultures. Telling us to eat the same thing would be deprivation for me. It may be happy for her, or it may not. So, we really have to look at the physical body and really start to practice trusting what we're eating, and practice the process of elimination and seeing, okay, this didn't work, but this works. Okay, now what is this and how do I do this? Versus, and taking inspiration from foodies and from health coaches and from these people that are developing these amazing recipes and practicing them, but not eating exactly what they're eating. You see the difference? There's a difference between taking someone's recipe and being inspired by it versus deciding that you have to eat the exact same thing that person is eating. One is honoring yourself, and the other one is a complete loss of power.
Yeah, none of you want to idolize my food regimen.
No. She can't eat like rice and potatoes.
Rice, corn, potatoes, and wheat. I'm completely off all of them.
If I can't have rice, I'm not Brazilian. Like, you can just strip that from who I am. So, this is something that I've fallen into, where I really love the idea when I was younger of having a guru. I loved the idea of having a guru, someone that just tells you what to do and you just do it. And they will look into your soul and tell you your soul purpose, and then you just get to do that. And then that's it. And since I've come to realize that I love this idea, what I've come to understand is that we all love the idea of displacing responsibility for our lives while simultaneously wanting to enjoy the freedoms that we have to cultivate. And that's just not the way it works. Here's a quick story. Look at a wolf. A wolf has complete responsibility for what he eats. He has to go out there and hunt if he wants food. So he has complete responsibility over his life, but he also has complete freedom. He can roam anywhere he wants to roam. Well, probably not in this decrepit earth anymore, but back in the day, he could roam wherever he wanted to roam. He could be wherever he wanted to be. Versus the dog. A dog has absolutely no responsibility for his life. I feed Chewy every morning, every night. I walk him, I poop him, all the things. And he has absolutely no freedom. He can't even decide. Like right now, he's at the foot of our feet, and he doesn't have a choice. We told him he has to be there. And so taking self-responsibility over your life versus looking for other people to tell you what to do is actually what allows you to have incredible freedom. You just have to decide not to keep putting other people on this pedestal and decide what type of life you want to live and create that for yourself.
This is one of my favorite things about what I do, and I think it's similar for Thais is, we look at the coaching industry and everyone comes out with the like, I'm going to give you 5 easy steps to like blah 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 blah. And people come to Thais and I and they're like, so you're going to tell me exactly what you did to get successful, and then I'm going to do it, and then I'm going to be successful, right? And Thais and I are both very resolute about being like, no, that is not how it works. That's not how we work. We're happy to share with you our processes of what have worked for us and push you to figure out what works best for you. We've had clients come to us and be like, just give me a step-by-step guide. And we're like, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
You could follow every single step that we have taken in our lives and fail.
Yeah.
Like, because it's not right for you. It's not your journey. It's not your path. So again, encouraging you when you look at these gurus, like use them as inspiration. Sure. Find out what they did that works. Try it on for you. See if it works for you. There's a good chance it might not, but trying it on might lead you to something that does work for you. You never know. So yeah, it blows my mind that everyone's like, just give me a guidebook. Just give me the instructions. Like once I have the instructions, it's fine. I'll just be successful.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I got so into Buddhism when I was kind of converting from atheism and trying to put on, hats of these religions and try to figure out what was true for me and what worked. And what I absolutely love about Buddhism is that Buddha, he was basically like, try all these out for yourself. Do not take anything I say for face value. Like, I want you to go and try these things on. See if it lands for you. And that type of freedom from dogmatic statements of me just having to accept this thing, this preacher, this thing, and not question it was mind-blowing for me. And that's why Bree and I both, we question everything. We question everything because we want to make sure that we're living a life based on the beliefs that we want, based on the foods that we want, or maybe not necessarily want, but based on the life that we want to create for ourselves. Of course, you can be inspired by other people's things. Of course, you can see someone else and be like, wow, I want to create my life and have more travel and fuse that into my life. But you've got to know that at the other side of the coin is not so pretty. And that is okay too. And I think that's one of the reasons why we're so scared of actually taking action. Right? It's much easier for us to sit on our own grass and look at the other grass and the green grass or whatever and just desire someone else's life versus actually take action towards anything, is because we're afraid of the ugly side, which is it's going to take a lot more work than you probably thought. It's going to take a lot more effort. It's not going to be as easy as you think or as graceful. But that journey is so important because that journey is what's going to teach you about who you are and what you want to do in the world.
So I have actually been for the longest time on the exact opposite end of the spectrum of this. Like, I don't follow people. People ask me all the time, like, who in the coaching industry do you follow? And I'm like, no one. I've never read a Tony Robbins book. I don't really yes, I read other books and stuff, but like, I don't follow any coaches. I don't follow them on Instagram. I don't subscribe to their newsletters. Like, I honestly don't want to know what the people in my industry are doing, and not from a disrespectful place. Like, I get that they were there before me and that they're doing great things, but for me, it's really important for me to be clear in my energy and know what works for me, that I just don't follow other people. Like, I don't idolize other people. It was the same way when I was in fashion. People would be like, oh, who's your favorite fashion designer? And I'd be like, I don't really know because I don't really follow other designers. Like, I kind of don't want to know what's going on because I don't want to, accidentally use their designs or whatever as inspiration or any of those things. So this is an interesting conversation for me because I'm so the opposite. Like, even when people ask me now, like, who do you look up to? I'm so quick to be like, well, I don't idolize anyone, which is, something I clearly need to work on within myself. But like,
Right, because if it's triggering something so much within you.
I know I'm very defensive about it. I'm like, I don't idolize people.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. There may
And
be something in there for you to explore.
I clearly have inspirations,
Well, of course.
But yeah,
anytime people's that you go from one extreme to the other, like if we go to the extreme of I really want something to like fuck it, I don't want anything. Whenever we go to an extreme, it's really because there's something there, right? There's an underlying feeling to explore there.
So we're not saying don't idolize anyone, and we're not saying go idolize everyone, but like there has to be some sort of happy medium in the middle of like, how do you look up to people in the world and still dance to the beat of your own drum? Like, don't go out there and try to duplicate so and so's website because it works for them, or duplicate so and so's sales page because it works for them, or duplicate, whatever their whole marketing plan is because it works for them. Like, you have to find your own path.
Well, and I think I've shared this story before on our podcast, but I'll do it again. But I found a lot of freedom around this with books and with reading. I mean, I used to read books with this thirst that someone else was going to teach me the way of the world, and that this person, by writing this book, clearly knows more than me, and he's going to or she's going to teach me everything I need to know. And I would finish reading these nonfiction books feeling completely lost, feeling like, well, who am I? And, well, what's my truth? Because sometimes the book was, introduced a new concept that I didn't really believe in or I didn't think was true for me. But then I'm like, well, but he said it, so it has to be true. So what is true? And I would go in this whole identity crisis and, I'm not worthy enough of having my own truth, the whole 9 yards. And I had to practice pulling myself away from nonfictions for a little while and give myself space to discover who I was and to practice claiming my own truth and sharing that truth. And now I'm at the place where I will read a nonfiction book from the perspective of, first off, this person is no better than me. And second of all, this book is meant to just remind me of the truth that's already inherent within me. I'm not going to learn something new from this book. This book is just going to reflect to me what is already within me. And the minute I had that perspective shift, I started to find an immense amount of value and joy in reading these books without idolizing the author and without putting them in this pedestal. And that's what we want to encourage for you, is for you to be able to follow people and be inspired by people, but only because they're reminding you of your own capacity, only because they're reflecting to you your own desires, only because they're showing you what is possible and what is true for you. That's it. They're not here for you to replicate their exact model. They're not here for you to completely lose yourself in the process, because then you're always going to be a poor man's version of somebody else. You know what I mean? And the world needs you, like all the messy, all of that you-ness. And that's the way that you're going to change the world, not by being somebody else.
I've heard people say this before where, how everyone's like, oh, I want to be the next Oprah.
Yes.
Like whatever. And I've kind of taken on the energy of, I think I've kind of had it all my life. And I've heard other people say this before, like, yes, I love what Oprah's created. I love her vibe. I love, the fact that she's like a boss making a shit ton of money. Like, I love that about Oprah. And I don't want to be the next Oprah.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be the first Brie Seeley.
Well,
and
it's so funny, Brie, because I actually did that a lot. I want to be like Gabby Bernstein, meet Marianne Williamson, meet some other people. And I don't know what it was, but every time somebody asked me, like, oh, whatever, and I answered in that capacity, they would reflect to me. They'd be like, but Thais, you're not Gabby Bernstein. But Thais, you're not Marianne Williamson. And so it got to the point where I was like, damn it, I can't say that. So now sometimes I'll say, from the context of, I love how she's created her business. I think that that's a model that I like. Like, I like writing a lot of books and going on book tours, whatever. But then that's it. That's as far as I go. And how that's going to look like is going to look uniquely me. So I love that you said that, because the universe taught me that one.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, You've got to decide, are you following who you are, following your heart? And if you don't know who you are, then that's the great place to start. And start by looking at, what other people have that you want. Make a list of those things. Make a list of the qualities that you like about other people. Those are all things that are inherent within yourself. And then remove those people and really sit with who you are and the brilliance of who you are. And yes.
Oh my God, I totally just remembered. I did the most brilliant exercise in August when we spoke at the Entrepreneur Edge event. I don't
Yeah.
think you were in the room. But she had us write down, she had us make columns for like 3 different people. So I had, who did I even have?
Thais was probably on one column.
Probably not.
Hey,
I think it was like
this is going to the public, Brie.
I think it was like Ariana Huffington and Oprah. I don't even know if I did a third one because I really struggled with this. But what they did was they had us list all of the things about that person, like 10 things per person that we loved about them. So Oprah, badass, making a ton of money, influencing the world, touching a ton of people, like all sorts of that stuff. Ariana Huffington, again, super badass, author, unapologetic, like all these things. And then what we did was we partnered up with someone and we switched sheets of paper. And the other person read back to us in the you are. You are a badass making a shit ton of money.
Well, there you go. That's a great exercise for what we're just saying.
You have, you're a powerful woman. You're an author. It was actually really cool. The woman that I was partnered up with when I was reading the stuff to her was like in tears. And the thing that I always love to look at is if you see something within someone else, it is only because it already exists within you.
There you go.
So whether or not it's something that's triggering and you're jealous of them because they have more Instagram followers than you or whatever, or if it's good, if you're like, oh, I love this woman because she's a powerful badass, like whatever that is, from jealousy to admiration or whatever that thing is, you're only drawn to it because it already exists within you.
Yeah.
So looking outside of yourself to see it in other people is great for the indication of like, oh, that's something that I can own on a deeper level. Just making sure it's healthy and taking responsibility. Like that's something I want to incorporate more into my life. And instead of striving on this external plane to be more like this other person, how do you own that more in your own unique way for yourself?
Yeah, exactly. Couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, we're just mirrors, So whoever you're looking at, they're just mirroring you and mirroring your amazingness. So stop guruing people and putting people on pedestals and idolizing them. And one of the things that I've done actually when I was just starting out and I saw all these people having these successful businesses and being so badass and they felt so out of touch and I, felt so intimidated by them, is I would actually reach out to them and I would invite them to have a conversation with me. And most of them said yes. And they were like normal people, craziness. They were normal people. And by having a conversation with them, it was easier for me to take them off the pedestal and realize I had built them up to be something that they weren't. And they're just humans. Mm-hmm. They're just humans figuring out as they go. They're just maybe a few steps ahead of you. Take them off the pedestal. Trust yourself. Trust your own path. Trust the messiness. And one of my favorite things is this is just what it looks like. This is what it looks like to create the empire you want to create right here, right now. This messy, this doubt, this fear. This is simply the path. It's what it looks like right now. Trust it and keep moving forward.
So there is someone that I know that I've known for a few years, and it's so funny because I put her up on a pedestal. And I would look at her Instagram periodically and be like, she's so cool. Like, we'll never be friends. Never. She's just so fucking cool. And she ended up coming to one of our events.
Yeah.
And she looked at me and she's like, you're so cool. And I was like, no, I'm not. You're so cool. And she's like, you're so cool. And we had this moment where we had both put each other up on pedestals for completely different reasons. Like I had her up on my pedestal and she had me up on hers. And neither of us, of course, knew that the other had done the same. And so here I was thinking like, oh my God, I'm so not worthy of knowing this person. And she was thinking the same thing. And then we got in the same room and all of a sudden we're both at the same level because of course we're both up on pedestals. And now, you know, we're friends, we're colleagues, we're in communication on a regular basis. Like, it was the coolest thing where, you know, you might be putting people up on pedestals, but you never know who's putting you up on a pedestal. So have some perspective, like stop placing other people more important than you because you're just as important as they are. And, you know, figure out your own way.
Yes.
It's so good. Yes. It is work. We're not going to lie. Like, it is work and it's so good.
So good.
Well, I think that we've probably hit home on this, and maybe we should bring Mr. Kinney on. We did want to share one thing before we bring Mr. Kinney on.
Yes, we are having a mixer coming up October 15th. It is going to be pretty incredible here in Los Angeles. So if you are in town, we want you to join us and come see what our unnetworking methodology can really do for you and can do for the conversations and the women you have in your life. It's pretty majestic. Every single mixer we've had, it's just amazing what happens when you put these women in a room together and you tell them to show up as who they are. I mean, we love it. The vibes are for real, and we would love to see you there.
Absolutely.
And
I go for it.
I was just going to say, and
let's get rapping. That's what I was going to say because I'm excited for this.
Well, I was going to say, let's share the website.
So if you, right.
So that you can buy your ticket because our mixers do sell out, and this is coming up in 2 weeks, and we are expecting it to sell out. So if you're interested, go to theamplifycollective.com. It's right there on the home screen.
Yeah,
it's not that difficult to find.
And now, can I say it?
Yes, and now you can say it.
Okay, let's get rapping.
Let's get rapping. James, thank you so much for coming onto our podcast today.
Thank you, Thais. Thank you, Bree.
Hi, James. We love you. All right, I'm going to let the listeners know a little bit more about you. James Kinney is a serial entrepreneur, author, musician, and host of The James Kinney Show.
Of course he is.
A former Wall Street sales exec and law firm marketer turned advocate for a better workplace, Kinney is the survivor of agoraphobia, depression, and a nearly fatal car crash that forced him to learn how to walk again. Kinney turned a $200 investment into a 7-figure bi-coastal business group in 5 years. His clients have included Toyota, ELLE, IBM, Forrest Whitaker, Lucinda Bassett, Yahoo, Redken, Belkin, Estee Lauder, City National Bank, and many others. James currently helps organizations build authentic and engaged cultures through his management consulting practice.
Woo woo! All right, James.
In other words, James is a badass.
A badass. So tell us, what does it look like for you, mister, to live an amplified life?
You know, I just have to cry for a second before we even start because, Bree, hearing you read that bio, I'm like, who is that guy? I don't know him.
Isn't that the best? That happens to me sometimes too. It's
Wow.
just the best.
Wow, thank you guys for doing that. I know I wasn't supposed to pause it, but I was like, who is that dude? Wow.
He sounds awesome.
I love it. I mean, I think we forget our accomplishments all the time. And so it feels good when someone reflects to us our own brilliance.
Yeah, and the agoraphobia and learning how to walk again part. That was pretty epic too.
Yeah, I want to learn more about it.
Me too. Yeah. I don't even know that part of your story.
Yeah, well, to answer the question, living an amplified life for me is creating what I really want without fear.
So, James, what do you really want?
So I really want the next album that I'm recording in August to blow up, and I believe it's going to. And after I record that album, it will increase my brand nationally. And then I'm going to run for office, and I'm going to be in the federal Senate at a minimal, and I might become president of the United States.
I totally see that.
I do too. I think that there's nothing more perfect for James Kinney than to go for office. I think your voice is definitely needed.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you. It's been something since I was a very little kid, and I don't mean to sound, people say, oh, I was chosen, or it was a calling, because that's pretty egotistical to say that I was chosen. But I will say, from a very early age, I felt like I knew John F. Kennedy. I felt like I knew Martin Luther King. I felt like I knew Gandhi, Mother Teresa, others, etc. I felt like I knew them. And it was a strange affinity that didn't make much sense for someone in Denison, Texas, and Sherman, Texas, towns of, a population of 20,000 people. And once I started to get into the arts and theater and different things, I competed in oratory contests doing speeches of John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King, et cetera. So and then I was class president every year and president of like 7 other things. So it was always something that leadership was natural for me. And yeah, I don't feel like my life would be complete if I don't hold a public office before I'm taken from this part of the journey of life.
I love it. I think that's so inspirational. And I'm curious, what about these gentlemen inspires you?
The ladies and gentlemen that I mentioned, I got to give a shout out to the ladies, because I'm talking Bree and Thais. I would be in trouble if I did not say ladies and gentlemen, but that's how I roll anyway. You know what it is? I would give the analogy of individuals who have had a ripple effect. And I know the two of you well enough to know you're doing what you're doing for a ripple effect as well. And I think that it's interesting that currently, with 7 billion people on the planet and throughout time, how many people that have been here, only a selected few have had the courage, the audacity, and the ability to suppress enough fear that they could create a ripple effect. So it's not about being famous or going down in history or some sort of legacy. That's not necessarily it. But the ripple that you could create metaphysically, I think is just the most significant opportunity that one could have.
I love it. And what you said, suppressing fear to create a ripple effect. I think that that's so powerful, because I know that we all experience fear. Mm-hmm. And it's the individuals like, let's say, Martin Luther King and JFK and Mother Teresa. I'm sure they also experienced massive fear. They just chose not to listen to it. And I love that you're choosing that every day, James. I think that's really amazing.
Thank you. Well, at least 3 days a week.
Wait, what happens on the other 4?
Man, the other 4, I'm fighting just like you guys. I'm struggling. I'm fearless for 3 days a week. So maybe over time, if I can get it to like 5, then, 6, and then eventually 7.
That's awesome. So speaking of fears, talk to us about your experience with agoraphobia. I just looked it up briefly on Wikipedia. So talk to us about that, because this is something like, Thais and I have both known you and seen you on stages and being a leader and all these things, and it's not something that I would have ever guessed about you.
Man, well, let me say this. Life throws us significant curveballs and audibles at times that we least expect it. And thank you for saying that about me, because prior to having severe anxiety, basically for the audience, okay, so there's anxiety, right? And everyone understands what anxiety is, I think, at a most simple form. And let's say that you have anxiety on a scale from 1 to 10. And let's say your anxiety is at a 10. Agoraphobia is another level past 10.
Wow.
Just to give the audience of how bad it is. And agoraphobia is basically the fear of leaving one's environment. So people who suffer with agoraphobia, essentially, they're locked in their apartment or locked in their home. Not physically, but mentally, they are terrified of leaving their residence and or their safe place in fear of a catastrophic event happening. So that's like a diagnosed technical definition of what agoraphobia is. For some people with agoraphobia, work could be a safe place. Their brother's house could be a safe place. Their car could be a safe place. But when they're transitioning between environments, as they're psychologically adjusting to environments, they have anxiety attacks, panic attacks, and they freak out. So for me, I had a loop of homework. And leaving to go to work was a significant challenge. Once I was there, I was able to calm down throughout the morning and survive. And then, but the journey home on the subway in New York was a struggle. So my trigger with agoraphobia, I was on a vacation, and I was at a music festival. I was outdoors for 3 or 4 days in the sun, drinking, having a good time, pretty much normal like everyone else would. But something went wrong with my body that day. It was my birthday, September 17th, 2007, I think it was. And on my 30th birthday, I was rushed to the emergency room. I had a severe dehydration episode that set my heart into a severe arrhythmia. My toes curled up, my fingers curled up, my eyes twitched. I was experiencing myself dying while I was conscious. So typically when you have a very bad accident, sometimes the body and the mind shuts down so that you're not fully experiencing that trauma. So imagine me with my heart beating at 190 beats a minute, fully conscious, and I'm consciously dying. And then I'm in the back of an ambulance and I'm in the middle of nowhere thinking that I'm not even gonna make it to a hospital. So long story short, that severe trauma incident set me into a psychological free fall where I developed regular anxiety, which was already bad enough. But over the course of 2 years, as I kept going down and down and down and down and down, I gained 50 pounds. I stuttered severely. I mean, every single consequence of that is what I experienced. And my employer at the time that I went to for advice, for help, I'm going crazy, I don't know what to do, I didn't tell my mom or my friends or anybody for a year and a half because it was my dirty, dark secret. So the agoraphobia developed in a way where if I were to leave my house, I would get dizzy spells, vertigo, and I would feel like either I'm going to get shot, I'm going to get killed, a train's going to hit me. But it was real in my mind that these things were actually going to happen to me. So I'll pause for a moment, but Bree, you're absolutely right. Prior to that, I was performing on stage in front of 5,000 people on a regular basis. And I went from that fearless to absolutely terrified and frozen.
Wow.
So then how did it happen over a course of another, 7 years where you went from that place to now speaking to us with such confidence about wanting to be the president of the United States? Like what helped get you out of it? How did you move forward?
First of all, I really have to give thanks to the universe, he, she, God, whomever, because I know I couldn't have done it alone. And I know that there's always been a special source energy that's helping me through this crazy thing, right? So I have to say that spirituality was a really big piece of it. But I really believe in integrative work. So the way that I created the journey of recovering is I left New York for sure. I had to leave Wall Street and get out of that. I became a waiter in Austin, Texas, and I spent 2.5 years rebuilding myself. And that's when I started my spiritual journey. So I say that it happened around 30. And it was the integration of nutrition, physical fitness. I went to church every time the doors open. At that time, I probably read 15 to 20 different books, everybody from Eckhart Tolle to Marianne Williamson, the Bible, the Quran. I literally went deep. And throughout that process, I lost weight, I gained spirituality, I found love again. I was at a place where there's a song by D'Angelo called I Found My Smile Again. And I remember listening to that song and absolutely crying because for a long time, and you guys know me, I smile like I'm on a cheese commercial. I forgot how to smile because I had that much trauma, kind of like PTSD for a war veteran. That's how I experienced life. So to answer the question concisely, it was a culmination of an integrative approach to holistic healing. I took Lexapro for 4 days, and my mom told me, throw that shit in the toilet, and I did. And I threw the Lexapro in the toilet. And by the way, I advocate that for anyone who needs it. But for me, I wanted to do it myself holistically. I wanted to build that wall brick by brick brick by brick of health long term.
I'm just sitting here in shock because I, one, had no idea about your history, and two, anyone that would meet you now, I mean, you're just such a vivacious, energetic, loving, compassionate. You're always smiling. You're always lifting people up. It's actually really cool to know that you've gone through something. I mean, it's obviously not cool that happened to you. And
Right.
it's just so cool to see you on the other side, because it gives, I think, so many people hope that no matter where they are on the journey, there is another side. I love the story of Jesus Christ, and not, and for
Mhm.
those of you that, don't believe in Jesus, it doesn't have to do with belief, but I love the story that, when he was crucified, that wasn't the last step. There was the resurrection.
Mhm.
Crucifixion or the death or dying or suffering, that's never the last step. And you are really exemplifying that, James, that there is always a resurrection. There is always a rise after the fall. And I think that's just fucking beautiful.
Thank you. And I really believe in that. And I appreciate you bringing Jesus up, because regardless of what your spiritual belief is, I think that those stories are symbols and signs for us to understand that perseverance is key to this game, period. And that, redemption is one of the most beautiful qualities of life. And I think oftentimes you're right, and I know all three of us have been in situations where we're like, man, I don't know how I'm going to get out of this one. But we're so thankful that somehow, some way, as long as we're allowed to take another breath, because through my yoga practice, man, that breathing, that's a whole nother level. But through that breath, there's always another opportunity. There really is.
Mm-hmm. Amen.
So you talked just now about perseverance, and I know we touched on the fact that, you're only good 4 days a week and the other 3 days are a little shaky or whatever. So
Right.
what keeps you persevering? Like, do you have a go-to strategy when you're not feeling like persevering, or is there just this calling that you have? Like, what is perseverance? How does it show up for you?
Yeah. So I'm going to be real honest. Before I developed my practice, I used to say, oh, mindfulness. Oh, yeah. California people. Oh, yeah. I'm sure. You know what I mean? But currently I can tell you, today I'm on my 108th day of meditation straight.
Wow.
That's amazing. Holy shit.
Well, that's a holy number.
Holy. That's right. So my mindfulness practice allows me to have the awareness to understand, why am I bummed out about dating right now? Why am I bummed out about money right now? Why am I, and those are the days that I'm tapping into victim mentality. I'm tapping into all kind of things, turn the TV off because I've allowed CNN to affect my mood for the day. So I'm very cognizant of what's going into my mind, what's going into my body. And as a life hacker, before I even knew what that term was, I started hacking myself a long time ago, because I understood the mind-body connection and the spiritual mind-body connection all together. So I don't care who you are. You can be super, super conscious. You can be the Dalai Lama. And he probably doesn't fall off. Maybe he does. But I think for us regular folks, we do fall off. But the gift is that knowing when you've fallen off.
Yeah.
And, it's because that's so cool, because like on Instagram, come on, people will tell you every day is amazing. Because, I guess in our community, there are people who will be like, I'm sad today, and they'll post it and they'll talk about it. But it's rare that people are that vulnerable and authentic. So for me, it's about being super aware when I've fallen off and how to get back on. So that education, the tools and the system. Now, if anxiety tries to fuck with me, I'm like, oh no, you're not. Don't come around here, bro, because you're going to get your ass whipped. It's going down.
I love it. And I mean, I know a lot about mindfulness, and I know that Bree does too. I'm curious for you, what does mindfulness look like? Like, to the listeners who may not know anything about mindfulness, like
Sure.
what does that look like, and what does it look like for you?
Yeah, and I want to know more about how you meditate, or like what your meditative practice looks like as well.
Okay, great. So mindfulness for me is still an integrative practice that I use to help me get off the Wall Street thing. And it is physical fitness. And what I mean by that is an hour of vigorous exercise 5 to 6, sometimes 7 days a week, eating in a way that's healthy. And what I just mean by that is unprocessed food. We don't need to get into vegan or paleo or all that stuff, but just unprocessed
Gluten-free?
food.
Just kidding.
Yeah, right. But just whole foods that are unprocessed, right? So the nutrition part, the fitness part, and then creating activities that bring me joy, which for me is playing music or playing sports or things like that. On the meditation side, it's more about creating silence and space. I'm trained in transcendental meditation. And I also use an app called Calm, which I totally love. But for me, meditation is more about pausing and taking a moment to just be still. So even if I turn the TV, phone, and computer off and sit in a chair for 5 minutes and I'm allowing thoughts to pass through my mind without allowing them to stick, that's the simplest way that I could describe a meditative practice for someone who may be intimidated, or most people say, oh, I can't meditate. It's the first thing that they say. But for those of us who do, we know it's absolutely possible. And when I first started, I damn sure didn't do 108 days and counting in a row.
Well, I just think it's so funny. Like, I think if children were like, well, I can't walk, so fuck that. I'm not gonna practice walking anymore. Like,
Right.
we would all be crawling. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And it's just so funny how as adults we just give up. We're like,
Mhm.
oh, well, I can't touch my toes, can't do yoga. And it's like, no, that's not the point. The point is not
Yeah.
to touch your toes. The point of meditation is not to not have any thoughts. That's impossible. We have a brain has thoughts. It's not about some of these concepts that I think people connect with these practices, really disconnect them from being a learner, being a beginner again. And I think that that's such a shame that we have created a life where we don't have to learn anything new, and we avoid trying new things, and we just say that, oh, well, I'm not good at it, and that must mean I have to give up.
Yeah, I agree. Can I share something just real quick?
Yeah, sure.
So in December, I'm competing in Spartan race. Have you guys ever heard of Spartan?
No.
I'm pretty sure I know what it is.
Is it
and
like
I
death?
think you're crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much like death.
Oh, yeah.
right?
Okay. So tell me, what is a Spartan race?
So the
Wait, James, can
Go ahead.
I guess? Is it like you have to like get a horse on a chariot and you have to like put like a little strap of leather around your waist and then like you run the chariot? Is it like that?
Totally. It's about 5 miles in the mountains, with 23 obstacles, and it is Spartan race. So yeah, it's like military grade competition. So so I'm doing that in December, and the reason why that I bring up Spartan race is not to brag or anything, because I'm training for it now, but I
Please
brought it
brag.
up to your point, Thais. I'll be 39 in September, and I could easily say, oh, I'm getting closer to 40. Maybe I should just do things that are less challenging. But on the contrary, I'm about to turn 40 in a year. Let me do the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And I'm using that as a neurological anchor to hack and program myself to accomplish the things that I want. Because if I ever have to fight through cancer, or if I ever have to support someone else through fighting through cancer, guess what? It's going to be a fight. And the same thing that I'm doing when I'm crawling up a mountain with 40 or 50 pounds on my back, or I'm doing burpees in the middle of mud or running through fire, that type of tenacity and perseverance, to use that word again, that's what I'm going to need. And when, and when you're talking about the leaders that we need in the world that we have now, we need leaders who lead by example, not by rhetoric. So judge me by what I do, not by what I say. And both candidates are by what they say, not by what they do.
Yeah.
And I'm about to start preaching. Hold on.
I love it. I love it so much. And it makes sense. It's like the bystanders who, it's so easy to judge a football game because you're sitting in the stands yelling at people. It's a whole different thing when you're actually there playing the game. And I think that that's really noteworthy that you're doing that. And I agree. I think we need more people walking the walk than talking the talk. We need more people who are actually practicing what they preach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to your point about the kids earlier, imagine if we had a nation of meditation, and I meant to
Mm.
rhyme. But imagine if we did have a conscious nation where police had cultural sensitivity training. I mean, of course, if there's Caucasian gentlemen that are from a specific area that are going into an other urban area where they don't understand the people, those cultural nuances can be difficult to understand, right?
Yeah.
So for one person, selling CDs or cigarettes outside of a convenience store may seem like an innocent form of commerce or hustle. To the police officer, that may sound like code number 8701402 of the penal code.
Yeah.
And there's a difference there in that conscious communication. But if those individuals could have the opportunity to step outside and think for 1 second, you know what, this is a cultural nuance. Let me ask a question first and let me explore and investigate before I rush to judgment. We'd have more all lives matter, less of Black Lives Matter, less dead police, and less dead men.
Yeah, yeah. I read this morning that there are countries in the world that are putting America on the no-flight list, as in they're warning their citizens not to fly to the United States. And to me, that's so heartbreaking that we live in such a powerful democracy, such a powerful country filled with resources, abundance, evolved people, and yet we continue to struggle with basic human rights. It's still, I mean, I don't want to get too political here, but it's a little mind-blowing. It's a little mind-blowing.
Yes. Well, you can only obey one master. And if our master continues to be capitalism exclusively, then the windfall of that is exactly what we have.
Yeah.
Because the price, I mean, we can talk about type 2 diabetes. We can talk about heart disease, breast cancer. We can go all for hours. We could do that. But the health and welfare of our citizens is not the priority. The only master that we serve is the almighty dollar. And for that, the consequences are what we experience.
I love that. I think that that's really powerful. Thank you, James, for sharing that.
Yeah.
Well, we have a few minutes left. I was curious to see, we've never done this on the podcast before, probably because we've never had you on before, but would you rap for us? Give us a little sampling of the album coming up.
Let's definitely go in. Man, okay, check it out. I'm on the Amplify podcast. Check it out. Bree, Thais, James, we got contrast. Putting 2 to 2 together, see, it's basic math. When you can elevate past your circumstance. Yeah, I made math work with circumstance, but check it out, because you know that I can make it dance. I got the rhyme flowing because it's a Tuesday. It might be Wednesday, no matter what you say. July 11, 2016. Operating because we got a whole new machine. Got to defy the system. I mean, innovate. Shout out to Warren G when he said regulate. I'm sipping water just to create the hydration, meditation throughout the whole nation. Born in Denison, Texas. Don't drive a Lexus. It's a BMW. I don't mean to trouble you. I'm a little fancy. I'm a little classy. Guess what? Met a new girl and she asked me, could it be a husband? Could it be a thought leader? I said, baby girl, you know what? I can be your cheerleader. I can be your hero. You can be my shero. Shout out to OJ, Robert, Shapiro. Whole new story. Not about that glory. Tuesdays, a book named Maury. Shout out to Detroit 313. James Kinney on the microphone, MIC. Shout out to Bree. Book deal, wheels for skill, keeping it real. Dollar bill, Thais from Brazil. I make it chill. From Maryland, met Mark. Hit the spark and did it after dark. I know the story. Met him in an hour, whole new story. Future husband and wife, but I don't mean to put pressure. James Kinney on the mic trying to lecture. Keeping the truth. Hit a home run like Baby Ruth. I got the white teeth, but if it's singular, then it's tooth.
Oh my God, James, we love you so much.
That was the best thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
Mark is gonna love that.
Mark, my boyfriend, yeah, he's gonna love this, and I love you, James, and I'm so grateful for you. And for those of you listening, if you've been listening to the Amplify podcast since the beginning, you know that we have an incredible beginning in our little thing. It's like dun, 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 dun. It's like really cool. It's like
Our
really
music.
profesh. Yeah, our intro music. Well, that was created by the very famous James Kinney. So thank you, James, for so graciously creating that for us. We just fucking love it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, ladies. I appreciate that. Music is my first love and always will be.
Oh, I love it. So tell everyone how they can find you on the interwebs.
Yes. My website is just jamesnkinney.com, N as in Nick. And from there, you can shoot me an email. I'm a management consultant, and I love helping business dreams come true for folks. So, or you can just like give me a shout and be like, yo, let's grab coffee, and I'm down for that too.
Yeah.
So jamesnkinney.com is my website. Twitter is just at James N. Kinney. And then Instagram is The James Kinney Show. So that's it.
I love it. Thank you so much, James. And we will add these all to the show notes. So for those of you listening, you can grab more of James and more of his amazing personality.
And until next week, you can find us on all of the social medias as well. Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat at The Amplify Co. Until then, be amplified, and we will see you next Monday.